All right, family, let's jump right in. Dear Dr. Dandridge, being diagnosed with a chronic illness has left me grieving my old life. I miss the energy, spontaneity, and freedom I once had. Simple things like going for a walk without pain now feel like luxuries I can't take for granted. Friends tell me to focus on what I can do, but I can't help mourning the life I lost. How do I grieve for a life that's permanently changed while finding joy in what remains? This is something that I see so often as a hospice chaplain, especially inside of the elderly and aged community. The truth is that we're not getting any younger. The truth is that disease, old age, terminal illness, we are all susceptible to. It is hard to have a diagnosis. I want y'all to hear me. It is hard to have a diagnosis, regardless of what that diagnosis is. Whether it's a mental diagnosis, whether it's a chronic illness, whether it's a terminal illness, whether it's the fact that you have to have a tooth pulled, you're going to grieve from that diagnosis. You're going to grieve from this change that your body is going through. One of the things that I tell a lot of my patients is to embrace the change. Don't embrace it in a way that you're like, oh, woe is me. Embrace the change in a way that you're saying to yourself, I'm living and this is a part of life. I don't know any person, including Jesus himself, who left this earth with a perfect body. I want y'all to think about that. Even Jesus himself, whether you're a religious person or not a religious person, just think about it. Even Jesus himself did not leave this world with a perfect body. Guess what? You are not going to leave this world with a perfect body. And you have to accept it. Now, you say inside of your letter that you miss the energy, the spontaneity, the freedom that you once had. Simple things like going for a walk without pain feel like luxuries that I can't take for granted. One of the things that I tell my hospice patients is sometimes you have to redefine your abilities. If going for a walk causes you pain, then of course you cannot go for a walk. But it's what you gain from the walk that provided you joy. So it was being outside, it was being around the elements, it was hearing the birds, it was being by the water. You might not be able to go for luxurious walks anymore, but you might be able to go for luxurious rolls with your rollator, with your wheelchair, with your cane. You might have to take some medication before leaving the house. But you have to get to a point where you're okay with redefining what your new reality is going to be. I think that's the biggest thing with grief is us truly redefining the fact that this is what was, this is what is now, and I have to accept what is now in a way that I can cope with it, that I can live with it. Of course, it's not going to be the same. And that's with any illness, that is with any diagnosis. Things just won't be the same, but it's okay. And I say this not to placate what you're experiencing, but I'm using this as an example. I want to go back to the, pulled tooth. If you go inside of the dentist and they say, hey, you've got to have your tooth pulled, and you're just like, what? Like I didn't expect to have my tooth pulled, and now you're grieving, like now I'm not going to have no teeth, or I got to get a veneer, or got to get a denture or whatnot. Chewing on one side of your mouth versus the other side of your mouth doesn't matter as long as you're still getting food inside of your stomach. The same thing with life's transitions, the same thing with loss, the same thing with change. You can get the same result. You can get the same feeling. You can have the same joy. You can have the same happiness. You can experience the same love after the loss. You just might have to go by it a different way. I write inside of Designing Your Goodbyes that grief and joy can walk side by side, that hurt and happiness can hold hands together. And while, yes, you might be grieving some of the stuff that you could not do, look at what you can do and see if you can now incorporate that inside of this life now that you have. I'm gonna share this with you all, and then I'm gonna let you all go. I broke my wrist a couple of weeks ago. You all might have noticed inside of some of the previous videos that I wasn't showing my hands as much as I am now. But even as I'm still recovering right now, like there's still limited mobility inside of this hand right now, and I'm definitely grieving not being able to really get out and play golf the way that I want to. But I do plan to go out. I do plan to get through this season of healing and adjust my swing when I pick up the clubs again. I hope y'all heard that. When life hands you change, when life hands you transition, when life hands you loss, understand that it is for a season. Understand that you can make adjustments. And understand that although things might not be how they were, they can still be inside of this new and different reality. Because you can find joy. Although things have changed, although things are different, although things are not as they once were, I believe that you can find joy. But you might have to move aside some of the expectations that you had for what joy looked like before, and now redefine what it's going to look like. Instead of you walking inside of the park, like I said, maybe you rolling inside of the park is going to, you'll still be able to have the same amount of joy. And you actually might find more joy inside of it. That's one of the things that I've seen with a lot of the people that I work with. The second that they embrace and accept the new reality, they're able to embrace the great parts about their new reality. Prime example, I have a lot of, and I say this flippantly, I have a lot of patients who are literally 100 years old. And at one point, they dreaded being 100 years old. They was like, I'm going to be old, and, but now they're embracing it because they say, I'm 100. I can do whatever I want to do. You see what I'm saying? It's not until you can let go of the old, embrace the new, and then embrace the new joys that come along with this change. Because there are joys, there are benefits, there are advantages. So often do we focus on the negative things that we've lost and the negative things, like you said, that we take for luxuries. But now there might be some other luxuries that are a blessing. And yes, it's hard. I'm not even going to lie to you. Yes, it's hard. All the feelings that you're feeling right now are 100% valid. You say you miss the energy, the spontaneity, the freedom that you once had. Friends tell you to focus on what you can do. And of course, inside of the back of your mind, you're just like, please shut up, because I've really, want to do what I once did. And your friends don't understand because they're not grieving. They're not experiencing what it is that you're experiencing, the changes that you're going through physically. So it is frustrating when people are like, just do what you can do and embrace, what you have. It's okay for you to be angry with them. It is okay for you to be frustrated with them because they don't understand. They don't understand. But the feelings that you have are 100% natural. They're 100% normal. And it may take some time for you to embrace this new reality. But until you fully embrace this new reality, do things that are within your limitation that will still help you honor the thing that you've lost. I write that inside of designing your goodbyes. It sounds like this is a permanent change and something that you are going to have to live with. So my advice would be work through the emotions, work through the anger, work through the stress, work through the frustration, and then pick yourself up and say, I'm going to live with it. I'm not going to let it define me, but I am going to live with it because I've been given the gift of life. in order to be able to live with it. Okay. I hope and pray that this helped out just a little bit. Y'all, look, do me a favor. If you made it this far inside of the video, I want you to don't subscribe unless you really want to, but just boop the like button. Okay. Just hit the like button for me. It really does help out with the algorithm. Also, check out this next video where I'm going to be talking about some very, very open-minded things that I hope and pray really encourage someone. And look, if this encouraged you, if you're experiencing some kind of chronic illness that your physical limitations have now permanently changed, and you know someone else who might be experiencing a chronic illness and now their physical limitations are changing, share this with them. Share this with them, because hopefully and prayerfully there's something, maybe even one phrase that I said inside of this short time that we've been together, that can really give them a little bit of hope and a little bit of encouragement and help them find joy inside of their new reality. Okay. I'm Dr. Dandridge. Thank you for joining me at my desk. This has been Designing Your Goodbyes, and I promise you I will be inside of this next episode to welcome you as soon as you press play.